Alright everybody, another installment of Project YFZ 450 2006 Special Edition. If you watched the last video, you might be wondering what's going on here. I was supposed to be reusing the original clutch parts. Well, you know what? I decided I'm going to get a Hinson clutch basket. The original one was in great shape, very low hours, engine, minimal to no wear on the basket at all as far as where the discs slide inside here. Well, I'm going to go with the Hinson. I just pulled the trigger and here I am. I've taken the liberty of already actually taking the factory clutch basket off, and here is the replacement. I'll do a little walkthrough on some of the steps to replace it. That's what it looks like when you flip over the factory one. Here's the spring retainer plate. There are 3 rivets holding it on. You can either grind them or drill them out, and I chose to drill them. Biggest part of this whole job is cleanliness. You want to keep all this stuff as clean as possible. I wound up actually having to take all the springs individually, the gear, the spring retainer plate. You can see here. And there's the raw basket. This plate right here is reused from the factory. Clean that off with soapy water. It's got a spring washer on it here. Hot soapy water to clean all the metal shavings off of this. When you're drilling and grinding it, it makes a mess. The gear itself, again, hot soapy water, and I used a toothbrush to clean this all out. And here is the Hinson replacement spring retainer. It says in the instructions, and they used to have you reuse the original one. They provide you one now. It's very good quality. I'm happy with the fitment. The springs fit tight inside there. I took the springs and all these parts, and I cleaned them inside my sink with hot soapy water. Inside the grooves of the spring, the coils, you're going to get metal shavings trapped if you drill or grind these original rivets out. And like everything else inside this engine, I can't stress it enough, cleanliness is godliness. You don't want little metal chips washing, when the oil is spinning and the engine's running. You don't want those parts floating around inside your engine. It's going to lead to trouble. As sure as the sun will come up tomorrow, you're going to get trouble with metal particles. This stuff has to absolutely be doctor's office clean. So again, I drilled the rivets out. It's really not a whole lot to it. I have some snap-on, what do they call them, thunder bits, and I drilled it out, washed all the parts with soapy water. The Hinson basket's got some hard anodizing on it here that prevents wear inside this high, wear area here over the basket fingers where the clutch fibers ride. So pretty straightforward. If you got any questions about it, please comment. Now the Hinson basket comes with these screws instead of rivets, and the screws only get torqued to 11 foot-pounds. They are very, very loud in their instructions about using Loctite number 272 and a primer that helps the Loctite adhesion to the fastener and to the threads. I don't have Loctite 272, but I have what I believe is very much an equivalent from Permatex. I have Permatex Surface Prep, which is basically a prep for their anaerobic sealants and Loctite type products. And I also have the thread locker. Coincidentally, the part number is 27200. So I believe that this would be equivalent to what Hinson recommends in their instructions, Loctite 272 and a primer. So I'm going to be using these on the hardware, and I'm going to torque them to 11 foot-pounds. They've obviously had, if I had to guess, I'm not exactly the voice of experience with these assemblies, but the screws only being at 11 foot-pounds and being under a ton of stress have probably loosened and came out before. If that happens to you, it's going to be a bad day. The screws are going to tear the case up, and you're going to have a lot of work in front of you. Replacement casings, metal inside the oil, all bad. So I highly recommend to stick to their instructions. The 272 and the Loctite primer that they recommend are not easily available at stores, so you're going to have to look around online, order them ahead of time. So be prepared. That's going to be a very important part of installing this assembly. The other thing I did was I took the clutch push rod here and the ball, and I treated them with a product called Molykote Z powder made by Dow Corning. This is literally a powder. You basically put it into a rag and you burnish this surface here. You can see the grooves for the oiling, and I've already done that. I've burnished the surfaces where this rides inside the shaft for the transmission, and it's a dry film lubricant. You can't even tell it's there, but it's in the pores of the metal. Same thing with the ball. It's a industrial strength lubricant, and it doesn't leave a mess, and you can't even tell it's there, but it's in the pores of the metal. You burnish it in. You basically hold it in a paper towel, and you're going to want to wear gloves because the stuff makes a mess. And you burnish it in, and you force it into the pores of the metal, and it provides a good lubricant on there. So a couple little detail things. I doubt you see anybody on YouTube do any details like this. The other thing is I got the 2007 and up casing. If you watch the last video with the oil upgrade update part 3, you might remember the J&T product service that I had gotten was a very subpar finish on the hole here where the oil nozzle goes. And it's also drilled to a different depth. This one here from this surface is 3.5 millimeter. The J&T products was 5.2 millimeter. I don't know why they go deeper. It's not necessary. I don't think it was necessarily going to hurt anything, but they also left an atrocious finish inside the hole with the O-ring seats. This has got all done from the factory. It's 3.5 millimeters from here to here. It's got a nice beveled edge to help guide the O-ring in without cutting it or damaging it, and it's also got a very, very nice mirror finish. So this is exactly what I need. I'm waiting for a couple seals to put this together. One goes inside here where the oil goes to the crank, and the other goes over here where the kicker is. I forgot to order those, so those will be in midweek. So that's going to be put together. I'm going to finish this up, get the clutch back on. I'm going to get this casing all put together, new water pump seals. It's going to be very, very nice, put together this side of the engine. Next update is going to be a big one. It's going to be the piston, the pin. I have an aftermarket forged piston coming, probably not one that a lot of you have seen, and some tech details that are going to be very important. So if you're into doing the top end of your YFZ and rebuilds, or you've had a blown up engine and you want to figure out some stuff you can do to help prevent it, this is going to be a big one. The next one is going to be probably one of the heart and souls of this engine as far as tech details. The piston, the pin, and the cylinder. You're not going to want to miss it. I encourage you to stay tuned and please watch that if you're rebuilding your YFZ 450. In the meantime, I appreciate you watching. If you find this valuable, please subscribe. If you have any questions or you want to see any further details about what I'm working on here, please comment and I'll be happy to answer, or maybe even upload a new video if you want to see some further details about any of these parts. So again, appreciate you watching.